Welcome to our next video in this series where I'm walking you through different characteristics of Google Forms. Right here along the top it says questions, responses, and settings. I'm going to scoot over to settings and then I'm going to walk through the different characteristics that you find in that space. I'm jumping over the area where it says responses because we don't have anyone who has responded to this particular series of questions yet. Therefore, our audience hasn't produced any responses. I'll swing back to that in a later video. Let me click right here where it says settings. Right here in settings, there are particular characteristics that are either on or off automatically. And you'll need to go through to figure out which ones are important to you and which ones are not important to you. Later on in this tutorial, definitely not this video, a future video, I'm going to talk specifically about quiz characteristics. I'm going to pass by that one for right now. If you want it to be a quiz, tick it on. If you don't want it to be a quiz, it's going to automatically be in the off position. We'll cover that more later. I'm going to click the little arrow right here so that we see options appear underneath the category entitled Responses. If you automatically want your quiz to collect email addresses, then leave this in the on position. If you are utilizing this as a quiz, for example, the best item in my opinion is collect email addresses. And although your second graders and your third graders are not going to type their email addresses in, Google will automatically put the user's email address in there so that you know who took what quiz. And that's paramount. If you have nothing identifying the user, then you have no idea who took it. Yet, at the same time, there are other times where it doesn't matter to you who responded. It's very much dependent upon the type of information that you're collecting. If you want it to be anonymous or if you don't want it to be anonymous. So tick this on or off if that's appropriate. The very next one, somewhat self-explanatory. Do you want the individuals who have responded to the form to receive a copy of their responses, yes or no? It is automatically in the off position. Go ahead and override that and turn it to the on position or when requested, if that's important to you. If you want your users to be able to go in and edit their responses, you would tick this button on or off. Maybe they've responded and they're like, oh no, just kidding. I want to change my shirt size to a small, please. Or I want the company barbecue to happen on a Thursday and not a Friday. Then you would grant them permission to go in and change those responses. In this area right here, I believe this one where it says restrict to only Clovis Unified individuals, I believe that this is always forced in the on position. I ticked this off earlier. If you ever want your form to be distributed to individuals beyond your organization, for example, parents, if you want parents to be able to respond to this, they would be unable to enter the form or respond to it if this button has not been moved to the off position. If you're only distributing it to employees, if you're only distributing it to students, feel free to leave it in the on position. However, by leaving it in the on position, users will have to sign in using their Google account in order to respond. This next one is limit to one response. When it comes to the t-shirt example that I started with, maybe there are users, individuals who would like to order 2 or 3 t-shirts. So if you want them to go back in and then respond a second and a third time, you would not want to tick that into the on position. You would want to give them the freedom to come in and respond over and over again. However, if it's important that users only have one ability to come in and respond to your form, you would want to tick that button into the on position. Right here in the presentation category, we have a series of items to choose from. If you would like your users to see a progress bar, go ahead and tick this button into the on position. This is what it looks like to tick something on, and then this is what it's like to tick it off. Shuffle question order, if that's important to you, go ahead and click that. After the user has submitted their form, there is a standard response message that comes to all of your users, and it's this message right here: your response has been recorded. However, if you would like to make adjustments to that message that your users see, you can click right over here where it says edit. And when you click edit, it gives you the ability to respond in this space how you choose. If your students have completed a complex exam, you can cheer them on by saying, well done, thank you so much. If you change your mind and you're like, nah, the one that was in there already is just fine, you can click cancel. Save if you want to save your changes, cancel if you would like to disengage from those changes. If you would like your users to submit another response, go ahead and tick this on. If you do not want them to respond yet again, then go ahead and tick that off. If you want your users to have access to a results summary, depending on the types of questions that you have provided to your audience, you may want them to know that 40% of those individuals who were polled responded favorably to option A, and 20% of the population responded favorably to option B. Release that information if you feel that it's profitable. This particular option right here will allow Google to save content across those questions so that if the user disengages from the quiz and comes back to it a few days later, there is the potential that all of those responses are still going to be there in the event the user has not clicked the submit button. I have found this to function most efficiently when a child's device doesn't have enough power for them to complete an assessment. Let's pretend that they're on question 7. Oh no, teacher, my computer just turned off. When the child logs back into that computer, once you plug it into the power, and they make it all the way back to Google Classroom, and they click back into the assessment, in theory, all of that work should be saved for the child and they can continue where they left off. All right, 2 more sections to go. Form defaults. Do you want to collect email addresses by default? You, the user, if you want each of your Google Forms to have some historical defaults over and over and over again, every time you click, hey, I'd like to make a new Google form, please. These are the defaults that you can select so that you don't have to tick these on and off every time. If you always, or at least almost always, want to collect email addresses by default, you can leave this in the on position. If you feel like that's something that you will seldom do, and it's super inconveniencing to tick this into the off position every time, you can click, no thank you, Google. I would not like to collect email addresses every time by default. This is up to you. This is what you, the user, can determine as you are making Google Forms over and over again. This is the other option that you can establish as a default. If 90% of the questions that you design are going to be questions where the user has to respond to those questions, and it is so obnoxious to click the button at the bottom of each question over and over again, yes, this question is required, you can override that so that those questions will automatically be required if this saves you time. All right, that's settings in a nutshell. Over here, we have an artist palette. The artist palette allows you to take your blah, drab, boring form and spice it up just a little bit. I'm gonna click right here on the artist palette. This is the customize theme section. There are several images available in here that Google has provided by default, and you can choose any one of these. I'm gonna click right here where it says choose image. Google has organized this content by theme. You can scoot up and down. Right now we're inside of the work and school area. These are related to school. You can click any one of them right here, followed by insert, for example. Likewise, along here, these themes are specific to wedding, night out, sports games, etc. And when you click on any one of those, the items over here on the right will change. For any of these images where it looks like a video, you are correct. The user will see the moving nature of that image when they are in the form themselves. Slide up and down until you find an image that perfectly fits the form that you are working with. I'm going to choose the elephant right here. And after choosing this one, I'm going to choose insert right here. Give it about 20 seconds for those changes to take effect. And then right here where it says theme color, Google will automatically supply you with 6 colors that match the image at the top. In addition to those 6 colors, you also have the plus symbol right there. You can override the choices that Google has provided you, and you can choose a color of your own. When you choose that theme color, other characteristics of your form will take on that specific color. Likewise, you also have background color options here as well, and those are usually specific to the theme color, which is dependent upon the image. If at any point you say, you know what, I'm not sure that I really like this, you can easily come right up here. You can click the X in order for that header to disappear. You can choose right here where it says choose image all over again, and then from this space you can choose something different. When you select upload, it will allow you to choose an image from your computer. When you choose photos, it will search for photos that are inside of your Google account, and then any of those images that are inside Google Photos, you can apply any of those images into this space. My first assumption is that the photos would come from Google Drive. However, when I clicked on photos, Google was pulling from photos.google.com. Worst case scenario, you can always download something from Google Drive and then choose the upload feature if this is not behaving perfectly for you. I'm going to choose a picture of the ocean, and I'm going to click insert right here. Google is going to find the appropriate portion of that image that can only fit into the size that is appropriate for the header. It would be your job to move up or down as needed in order to find the specific portion of the image that you think is important. You can grab on those corners and then zoom in or zoom out. And then right over here where it says done, go ahead and click done one time. Even though this image was not already housed inside of the Google Form gallery, Google was able to analyze characteristics of this picture to find a series of color themes. And it's not 6, it's actually 7. You would come over here to choose the color for the theme that you like best. The background options are going to adjust appropriately, and then you choose the coordinating color. Right down here where it says font style, Google's going to give you a few fonts to choose from in order for the entire font style for the entire form to override to that specific font style. Once you are satisfied with the theme that you have chosen and you would like to disengage from the theme editor, go ahead and choose the X right here, and this side panel will disappear. You do have the ability to come back in here and edit this at any point. You are not stuck with that theme. If you decide, oh, you know what, I would like to change that, you can change it at any time. Let me click the X right here for this to disappear. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Please join me for the next one, and have a great day.